One of the things that I found doing this van build is planning. It's quite difficult to plan, what job you're going to do ahead of time, because it would take you so long to sit down and try and figure out in what order everything goes, because when you're doing it all, you're kind of learning as you're going along and you come up with ideas as you're going along. So for example, this morning, what I'm doing, I'm putting this panel on, which has kind of been in the making for months really, but there's quite a lot of services got to come through this panel. They have been quite a few months in the making really. I've already got this drawn out on a piece of paper, so I've put these battens in, and this is going to help securing the kitchen over there in one respect. Anything else which I want to add later on over here. And so what we've got to connect, and what I've had installed for quite some months now. So down here in this corner, a gas barbecue outlet. It's the Bullfinch one. And the reason I put it here, right at the back here, is I wanted it accessible outside the van. So if you imagine like when you're on a campsite or wherever, the space outside this side of the van is going to be either where you'll have an awning, or it's where you're going to be sitting out, etc., hopefully, of an evening. The sliding door is a big door and it comes back to here. I'm having 2 gas bottles here. I always made a plan of using gas quite a bit in this van because I've got a gas low system. So I've got 2 7-kilogram refillable bottles, and I wanted to make good use of those. Hence why I've got a gas troomer. I've got a gas hob. So that's brilliant. So we have got some 8mm copper pipe that's going to come over to this area here and come through that panel to a tap, which is going to be up here for the gas bottles. And then the other thing is the gas filler. So the filling point is here. So I have got my filler pipe, which I need to attach to that. It's going to come through this panel and into the bottles. And then also my underslung tank. Whilst I can backfill it from the drain, I also decided to go with a filler on the side because I thought it was just a little bit more accessible, just a bit easier. But I decided to have that installed, so I've got a 40mm filler pipe on there. So that is going through that panel as well. And then lastly, something which has been around for a long time that is going through this panel is all this wiring. And this is all the wiring for the lighting and the kitchen, the fridge, etc. And so that is all going to go through as well. So I'm going to get that stuck in, get everything in place. So that is that in position. So I just forgot to mention the Scorvig brackets as well for the bed supports also go on there. So that's the gas pipe through to the barbecue outlet, gas pipe for the filler, 40mm filler hose for the water, and a bunch of electrics. All of that is going to be in the back of the kitchen cabinets. That wiring is going to be routed to various things. So there's a 240-volt socket there. The rest is 12-volt power, USB and lighting. I think it was quite useful in this van to have the original panels. Most of this is going to be hidden, so pretty much I've carpeted this, but I've got a furniture panel to go on here. So there's literally only going to be this bit here, which you will see. Gas box is going here. Kitchen will cover all that lot. Yeah, another good bit done. So this is on T-trim fitting. Here is my T-trim. Here's my T-trim, named as such. It's from Magnum's. This matches the furniture board, which is Chambord oak. This stuff, the finish on here, I don't know what they put it on with. It is incredibly delicate. If you put this on and start whacking it with any hard sort of thing like a mallet or something like that, the finish on it just disappears. It just comes off. So it's quite hard to get in. You can see there's like barbs in there. I do tend to glue it as well. The art of this is getting your slot in the middle. So my router's set up with the cutter. So that is, I think it's a 3mm cutter. And you set that up with a bit of scrap board. So, bit of scrap board. Basically, the way I do it is on this furniture board, it's layers of ply. And there is one particular white piece in the middle. And so you can see there where I've tried, and basically it's just trial and error until when you swap it from one side to the other, your cutter doesn't take any more material out, so it goes straight back in the slot. Then you know it's spot on in the middle. Here's my panel, which I've cut out ready. This is the panel that is going between the kitchen and the bedroom. So like this goes right up to the ceiling. There's cupboards on either side of this piece here. So then this is like the divide between the kitchen and the bedroom. The mattress is going to be coming somewhere up here. And then this just extends to the same width as the worktop's going to be. So this will just have T-trim up here. So what I'm going to do is clamp this on the bench. But because this is quite an intricate route for the T-trim, you're better off just doing a bit at a time, because if you try and do too much, you will make a mess, probably guaranteed. Clamp that down like that, and all I'm going to do is going along that bit and part way around the corner. Turn the hoover on and the router, and away we go. That's one slot done. Taking a little bit of care, there's our slot cut in the furniture board. One thing that I would recommend when you're doing this, and it does depend on your furniture board, is just sand very lightly on the edge of each side. You'll notice on the T-trim it's got like a tiny little lip right on the end, like a 90-degree little lip. And what that does in effect, and it's partly why you've got to get this gap, this slot in the middle, so that little lip sits over the edge of your furniture board. It's not just a flat trim that goes up against it. And some furniture boards, this one included, this is the cheaper one from Magnum's, and the finish is like a laminate that is put on the surface, and it is very thin. And I have seen that the T-trim can actually push that away from the edge of the board, which you then have to piss about with a scraper or a Stanley knife to tuck it back under the trim. So a little bit fiddly, but just something to note. So what we're going to do now is run a bead of glue around there. I'm just warming up the T-trim so it's a bit easier to manage, and then I feed it on. I've previously tried to do this when it's been colder, and I have to say it's definitely better with a bit of warmth on this trim. And it's certainly easier on the ground so that you push down. And then when you get to the end, stick it back up on the bench and just carefully trim off the end. You can see where it's got the lip and it goes over the edge of the board. You see the bits there where it's just slightly proud. So it's just a case of going over your board and just smoothing it all in. So there you go, that's all done. Just a matter of going over it really and just pressing any lumpy bits that's not gone in completely. Like I said, if you go over this with a mallet, it just literally takes the surface of this finish off. It is so delicate, it's untrue. Whether Mr. Pledge will take it off or not, I don't know. Looks like a professional job, really, I think. Not that I'm a professional. It just looks like a factory finish job, really, and it's quite easy to achieve. So what I'm going to do now, I want to make an end panel for this cupboard. It's a little bit tricky because I haven't got a support along the bottom. I haven't tried pocket screws in metal. So anyway, I've got some cardboard and I want to make a panel to cover that. My CBE tank level is going to be on there and various other things. So after snipping lots of little bits of cardboard off, I've basically got that to fit in there. I'm going to give that a go. I've marked on the cardboard the frame, but on top of that frame is going to be 15mm of furniture board, and then I've got like probably about 1.5 inches sticking out. I'm just going by one of my other edges over there, so I'm going to probably add maybe a couple of inches onto that to give me my shape. So go and cut that out of a piece of furniture board. So I've got my cardboard completely cut out. I've made the extra width on there past the frame, so that's the frame, and that's the extra that I'm putting on. I found a little bit of furniture board big enough for this, so what I'm going to do now is trace around this template and then we're going to cut it out. Always do a nice thick pencil line, and then it's easier to see with your jigsaw. Go around there. The more time you take getting the shape of the template, the better fit you'll get with your furniture board. A couple of lines that are a bit wobbly, we can just straighten them up with a straight edge, because I know in the van that they are straight. So there we go. I'll cut that out now with jigsaw. It's good practice, especially because of how delicate this stuff is. Just lay some masking tape on the board that you're keeping, so your finished board, just lay a bit of masking tape on where the jigsaw is going to run, and it'll just stop it marking the finish. So there we go, let's cut that out. Take your masking tape off. And there we go, so I've got enough of that up in the van. So little tip on the T-trim, keep it warm. I'm just running a little bead of glue in the slot, and it'll just help to hold it in, like if the weather changes, you go to different climates, etc. Because I have known this stuff shrink and change. Also, when you're putting it on, overlap your beginning, and then I found the easiest way to get this in is kind of like pull it backwards with your hand and then feed it in with your thumb. I've sanded the edge to got a bit of glue on there. I've sanded the very edge just very lightly, just to give a lead in for that edge, because if you remember I said there's like little barbs on each side of the T-trim, it's not just flat. I have previously been doing this when it's been really cold and this stuff just does not want to go in, but now when it's about sort of, I don't know, 18 degrees, something like that, 15 degrees, that goes in really easy, very uniform and very neatly. I'm pleased with that. A lot better when it's warm. So then just get your knife, trim it off, nice and flush, like that. And then the other end, we just add a little bit overlapping, and same again, just trim it off. And it's nice and flush. That glue will set off and that will hold that trim really well.